psychologist Stephen Hickman joins us now to tell us how to prevent a Zoom call from draining all of our energy. Really great to have you with us on this subject. You know, it is really something that everybody can relate to, just regardless of whether you're using Zoom or FaceTime or a WhatsApp call. You know, first, it was almost a novelty. I remember the first weekend that I connected with a group of friends from around the world, and we had a dinner party on the Zoom call. But afterwards, I thought, wow, you know, I'm not sure that this is going to be something that I'm doing every weekend. So what is it about these Zoom calls that make us maybe a little more exhausted than we would having a dinner with friends in person?
Well, I think there's actually a bit of difference between when we're having a virtual dinner party together or a happy hour together in a social setting, and then a work setting that's a little bit different. But in the social setting, I think it's actually disappointment. You know, we see the other people, and it's as if we're actually with them, and so we expect it to feel like we're with them, and in the end, it's not quite the same. We're not quite with them. We're with them in face and sound, but in another way not. So I think there's a disappointment factor because we want it to be a bit more human than it actually is. In work, I think it's a little bit different. I think when we're in a meeting with a dozen other people on the screen, there's really an attention drain where we're having to stay tuned in to a dozen different people or 20 different people or 4 different people and watching the cues that we normally get from normal social interaction, but all at once. It's like an avalanche of attention. And it's just exhausting. It's not how we normally would have a meeting. You think about it. We're often much more relaxed in a meeting around a conference table or in an office. We can shift our attention. We don't have to focus on everyone at once. And we don't have to hold still. You know, I'm holding very still now so that the camera captures me in a certain way, and that's how we have to be on Zoom. But in an actual meeting, I can relax. I can lean back. I can stretch my legs. I can shift my posture. So there's a certain exhaustion that kicks in, I think.
Absolutely. You know, you're right about that. And particularly when there's multiple people on a call, you have those connectivity issues where it can be hard to connect with a person or they have to repeat maybe something important that they said. So let's talk about Zoom calls in terms of social interactions. You know, obviously some people are using it to sing happy birthday to their friends. And so you have, you know, more than a dozen people on a particular Zoom call. But what about having, I guess, more of a social interaction where you have a few? Is there a way to sort of limit some of that fatigue, or is there a strategy for maybe minimizing the number of users on a phone call to make a better connection?
Yeah, I actually was having a conversation with my wife who had a virtual happy hour with 7 of her college friends. And she actually noticed the first time she had it with 4 of the others, and this time there were 7. And she noticed an energy difference. She kind of actually wished she had stuck with 4. I think there is something about limiting the number, but I think nonetheless, we can't always control that. We don't want to leave people out. But I do think that we can relax. I actually, you know, I'm a teacher of mindfulness and compassion. And I think that part of mindfulness is about sort of letting go of some of the tension, like actually taking a moment when you're engaging with other people, whether it's a dozen or 4 or 2 or 1, and just being fully present to where you actually are. Like maybe taking a breath or 2 where you actually notice your body sitting on a chair. You sort of peel your attention off of the screen. I don't know about you, but I find myself leaning into the screen over time as I'm on Zoom or Skype. So just relaxing a little bit, just staying connected to your own experience, moment by moment, feeling the impact of being in the presence of maybe people you really love and actually want to appreciate and savor what it feels like to be with them rather than to be focused on what they look like and peering over their shoulders to see how they decorate their apartment or whatever it may be. To just relax and have a conversation like you would if you were sitting with them in the room.
Stephen Hickman, those are absolutely great tips. We really appreciate you coming on to break that down for us. Thanks for that.